What's going on, y'all? It's your boy JG,
And as we'll see,
and this is the Achromous podcast. You do not need to adjust your TV set, your laptop, your phone,
none
whatever.
of that.
None of that. You've come to the right place if you're looking for inspirational content, great conversations, and just something to listen to on a beautiful Sunday, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Totally agree with you. We have a lot of content as some folks have been able to see. We've been trying to brace and let you know. We get into some good stuff
It's
today.
gonna be some good stuff, man.
Ho,
It's gonna be some
ho.
good stuff. I mean,
Yes,
we want to consider ourselves lucky that we're able to actually reach out to you today and tell you this. We want to say that we're lucky and we're blessed enough to be in a state that actually prepares for certain natural disasters, unlike our neighbors to the south in Texas. And I just want to say that our thoughts and prayers are with everyone in Texas right now. I
absolutely.
know I've got family down there, my father, my sister, I've got cousins, I've got aunts. Thank God that everybody's safe. And I'm praying for the safety of every other resident in the state of Texas right now. I mean, a snowstorm. You know what's funny is my father. He's lived up in Maryland, man. I want to say it was 30 plus years, and he was just getting tired of the snow. He's getting tired of the cold weather. He's getting tired of having to shovel out the car and warm it up every morning during the winter. So he's like, you know what? I'm gonna fly down south. I'm gonna hit Houston. I'm gonna live there. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm gonna be. I love the heat. I love the warmth. I love all that. So I had to call him up when the snowstorm first hit and tell him, "Hey, pops, it's a lot warmer over here than it is down there. You want to come back up?" My man was dying. He was laughing. He's like, you know what, man? I left up there to come down here to avoid exactly what I've gotten into. So it's crazy, man. The planet is changing, the world is changing. And again, I just want to, we want to give our thoughts and our prayers to those who have been affected by this. We hope the spring comes as quickly as it possibly can get here in the summer, and that we're away from this snowstorm madness that we're in.
Absolutely. Yeah. Really, it's definitely been an interesting time, right? This year, the way it's kicked off. There's been a lot to transpire. And yeah, who would have predicted at this point in 2021, Texas would be hit with an Arctic blast, right?
Crazy.
Go figure.
Crazy.
But I mean, stranger things has happened. So here we are. Just well wishes to everyone, to all of you out there with family and friends. Our thoughts are truly with you
Yep.
during this time.
Absolutely.
So, in regards to that, I guess that goes in hand with kind of what our conversation is going to be about with trust, right? Because, like you said, your pops trusted in the warm climate to go down
Yeah.
south and just
And let me tell you, man,
relax. And
he
yeah,
he's got a love relationship with Houston, Texas, man.
uh huh,
He always gushes about it. He's always asking me, "Hey, Jamal, you wanna come down? It's pretty nice down here. Come on down to." Tells he talks like this. He sounds like Shaq. Say, "Come on down to Texas, Jamal. It's gonna be great. Texas is amazing." So I'm like, I'm encouraged to go, man. I mean, look, I go down every year. I go down around his birthday, around
hmm
Christmas, and it is amazing. Even at that time, the weather it's been getting a little bit cooler. I'll be honest, it's been getting a little cooler in December.
hmm
But it's still a lot warmer than up here typically is in December. Except for a year like this, it's just been strange. But yeah, I mean, my father. He trusted the city of Houston. He trusted the state of Texas, and he has a love relationship with that place. But I know in our society now, in our culture, it's a little bit tough to have one inside of the other. In fact, it's at least coming from my past, man. I'm only 30. I'm still a little kid, but like with the ones that I've been able to get into, um, it's been it's been tough, but every single experience that I've had up until now has been a learning experience. The way I like to look at it is I'm climbing a ladder to get to that point in where a relationship is so successful that it feels really easy to manage. So it's not to say that each and every one before the relationship I'm in now was a failure. It was a lesson. It was something to be built upon as I continued to move up that ladder, where I am to a point where I've learned about myself, and the people, the women I used to be with, learned about themselves too. And I've gotten to a point where I know what to expect. I know what I'm looking for going in. And me being a guy, like there's only a few things that I'm really after when I'm in a relationship. It's honesty, it's communication, and the one of the number one things, at least for me, and for the sake of this podcast, of course, too, is trust. Trust is huge.
Yeah, I second that completely. Yeah, so I guess for me, at 33 years on this beautiful planet of ours, and having a slightly different journey in relationships where I've, for one, have always been very picky. Um,
It's
it's
okay
just
to be
how I
picky.
am.
It's okay. We all
Yeah,
have what we look for.
yeah. So like in my experiences, I've I've had my fair share of just encounters, but
Mm,
what I would consider to be like genuine, like really relationships where I invested myself is I've had a couple of experiences of that, where
mm,
they extended for a long period of time. Frankly speaking, to be quite honest, for me, my most recent like relationship was where I was when I was married,
mm.
and I was married for about 7 years. Was together with that individual for about maybe 11 to 12 or so, give or take.
Yeah, I
And
think about it. Yeah.
so
Okay.
so and then divorced. So of course, naturally, trust is a major factor in that aspect of like what led to the conclusion of that my journey,
Hmm.
parts that part. But something you said that resonates with me entirely is you learn, like, and though I may decide to follow uh, all of the negative things that happen and let that guide me in a way where um, I may not turn out to be the best way I can be, I decided against that and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to use this experience as an opportunity to grow, um, so that I don't lose. I don't feel like I lost.
Right.
You know, if anything, I'd say I feel like I've learned, um, and that's very key through relationships of any kind.
Right.
Um, so when we reference the term trust, like what does that truly mean, right? When you really look at it to its core, are you
Hmm.
trusting someone? You trust in something blindly that you can't see, no
Right.
different than faith.
Right.
Um, because at the end of the day, we are individuals.
Right.
Our conception of what we believe to be trust is based on us and how we decide to move with that. And as we know, at times, emotions can be very fickle,
Sure.
depending on one's circumstances, because it can change
Yep.
instantly. I've had the luxury of experiencing encounter of like where I've I was taught that um, very special person taught me that in life people are where they choose to be. You
Mm,
are where you want to be. So
it's true.
if that's where you choose to be, then your actions will show. Um, and in that being the case, you will then be building trust with one another because you are constantly choosing each other in that moment in time,
Right.
right? So I think sometimes we get fixated and we look ahead and
Mm,
we project and we plan what we think is going to be a certain way,
mm,
and we lose sight on that other person that's there with us. We
mm.
forget that they should be just as much a part of that process as it is for us by ourselves, because remember, we're choosing them just like they're choosing us. And if you
Right.
lose sight of that, what's really there to keep that connection together, right?
Mm,
So it goes deeper than trust at that point, where it's like there's layers to it where it's like, what happens when you're not around? What
mm.
happens when I'm not present?
Right.
Because that's where all of what we put into went to work, where I have to be able to blindly have faith and trust into you,
Mm,
right? I have to give that energy and that essence and time and everything we develop to grow with you, and to believe that what you tell me is what it is.
Mhm.
And I cannot afford to think otherwise, or that can't work. That is especially important in long distance relationships, in marriages,
Mhm.
in friendships, uh, family. It's
Yeah.
important in every aspect. Partnerships. Uh, it's one of those things where trust is, in my opinion, built from a bond, but you have to take a brick, figuratively speaking, and you both hold it together, and
Mhm.
you get what you need, the clay, and you put it on that brick together, and you put the layers piece by piece, because at the end of the day, it's not you matter, we
Mhm.
matter,
Right.
and that's really really important. And from my experiences at this point in the journey, I guess as it relates to my love life, I've had a lot of lessons,
Mhm.
a lot of harsh lessons, but
Mhm.
necessary, and it's definitely molded my growth. So that if I am fortunate enough to encounter someone who um, can provide me that trust that I give outward, I'll be
Right.
ready, and that's really important because you want to make sure you're ready for that sort of scenario. You want to make sure that you are as prepared as you can be.
Right.
So trust is big. It's easy to say it, but action has to show at all times. And that's really what I'm coming to learn.
That's absolutely true. And to kind of hark on the action portion of it, I think I think too many times, at least in some of the relationships that I've been in, when it came to action, I didn't want to say something where I felt like it had to be automatic, but somebody did it because I mentioned it. I didn't want to get to a point where things seemed unnatural. Like there were times where, I would communicate, we would talk, we would communicate about certain things, but then it seemed like that communication, I don't want to say died, but it got reserved a bit. There were aspects of what conversations we've had in the past that for whatever reason wasn't sticking. And back in my immature days in terms of, relationship experience, I didn't understand really how to handle that. I didn't know how to take that. So for me, I'm automatically thinking, well, I guess I'm not good enough. There must be somebody else. All these different things. And at the end of the day, for some of those scenarios, I was probably right. But for others, I was wrong. I was looking for something that wasn't there because of my own insecurities, and the trust that I thought was going to be in that relationship, in some regards, I pulled that out. I'm the one that went the route of not trusting somebody because I couldn't communicate or express myself the way I should. As men, right? We take it on the chin. We don't cry. We don't let our emotions show. We just keep rolling with the punches. You know what I'm saying? They missing out. Something, nothing's wrong with me. I can keep rolling. But I think in our society now, we as men have to take a step back sometimes and learn from the relationships that we've had, good or bad. We have to be able to take those lessons and apply them to our future relationships, not necessarily the negative things that went on in the past, because everybody else is different. Everybody's personality is different, everybody's upbringing is different, their circumstances were different. But when you get to that point, where you're in a relationship with someone else who has also experienced growth on another level, things do become a little bit easier. There's a bit of an understanding, a mutual understanding between both you and the person that you're with, that we know where we've been. We don't want to go there again. So let's build for somewhere that we can get to. And on that foundation, of course, is where that trust lies. The thing about it though is that if you don't build that foundation securely, if you don't have your rebar set, or if what I'm saying, if your forms aren't correct and you didn't allow that foundation to cure properly, what's going to happen is you're going to develop cracks. And what ends up happening is that a lot of people don't necessarily look at those cracks, or they ignore them. It's too small. I mean, we're going to build a house. Yeah, who cares? Just this little crack's not going to do anything. You're wrong, right?
Mhm.
Pay attention to those cracks, understand them, call them out for what they may be, and know that if you're going to continue to build a mansion on a foundation that has cracks in it, there is a strong possibility that that house is going to come crumbling down.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jay. And I'm glad you're beginning to touch base on like what can destroy a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be forthcoming and put myself out there about a harsh truth I've had to learn about myself recently,
Mm-hmm.
where you go through this journey of like rehabilitating yourself, especially for those out there who can relate when you're in a long relationship and you lose sight of your identity of who you
Mm-hmm.
are and you come out of it and it's almost as if like uh, you're just living life again, like just restarting.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to do the work that's necessary to make sure that you're ready. So when you meet the right person, you're prepared to give them what they need as much as what you're receiving from them.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I learned through experience, post marriage, where you're trying to establish a relationship or something of that nature with someone. And something that I've learned outside of that and just from experiences was that for me, a trait of something that I realized that I was taught and then working through is I didn't understand because I don't want to bash us men, but in simplistic terms, we are really simple creatures of nature.
We
So
are.
sometimes things go completely over our head and we don't see it as such. And for me, I feel as though I was guilty of that,
Mm-hmm.
where what was being said to me was being told directly, but I saw it how I chose to because of my
Mm-hmm.
conflictions, because of
Say that
what
part
I was
again.
doing.
I think that is very important, especially for men out there and for women who may have a hard time understanding some men, because some men might not be as forthcoming as we are here today.
Mhm.
But yeah, go say that again.
So,
I want to hear again.
so if I can put it in terms, and I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, so it's a cognitive dissonance.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
so,
cognitive dissonance. Yep.
so for me, I harsh reality check. My gosh, that is what I was doing. I
Mm,
was in my own way, and understanding that what I'm saying is not matching with what I'm thinking,
mm,
and it's not coming out as I'm intended. So it's an unspoken truth inside that I don't know
mm,
how to get out,
mm,
and uh, that is a communication barrier where
mm,
uh, I begin to think for this person,
mm,
think and perceive how can I give them the best version of me, rather than
mm,
realize the version of myself that I was giving them was totally fine because I was
mm,
communicating. Only when I decided to get ahead of myself
mm.
and
Right.
to tie my own shoestrings, figuratively. Of
Mm,
course, things tumble over. And then at that point, what I'm understanding of learning from the opposite sex is that, you know, those are red flags where it's like, hey, you're not living as you say,
mm-hmm.
or it doesn't appear that way, or you're giving me a harsh thing of what you're saying. And because the communication isn't where it needs to be at that point, the uncertainties become present. And then at that point, doubt sets in. Doubt sets in. Uh, the barriers that you started working and all the walls that you were putting together start to crumble like the cracks you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned. And then before you know it, it dissolves and the trust that you had maybe not be seen as worth it as it did before in the beginning.
Mm,
And frankly speaking, Jay, for me, that was a tough, tough thing to really begin to come to
mm,
terms with. So I know, like, again, in that instance, while it sucked to have that potential walk away,
mm.
I am learning. And
Okay.
it's like, well, Will C has work to do.
Mm.
I'm not perfect. We're not perfect. No one's perfect. But
Right.
the key to it is in any encounter and experience that you have, you learn from it to make you be better. So I share that in hopes to say, hey, it's very important that you create the healthy habits required to do the work for you. Because
Mm,
before you can be ready for anyone else, you've got to be enough for yourself.
mm,
Got to have self care, self love,
mm,
self worth. You've got to know your value and you got to
mm,
believe it. And you got to be able to say to
mm,
yourself, I am enough.
mhm,
And then when you're at that point, like people are going to take notice to the beauty that you have and who you are,
Mhm.
right? So it's going to come effortlessly,
It's
but you got to
infectious,
do
man.
it first.
Yep.
Got to love yourself first. And
Gotta love
for me,
yourself.
Jay,
Mhm.
in this experience and trust, I realized that was a key factor in what that part of trust is, because it
Mm.
is it's attached to it, and I didn't see it that way because I was interjecting just what I thought was
Mhm.
best,
Mhm.
because at that point in time I didn't think I was enough,
Mm.
right? Bottom line, I
Mhm.
didn't feel like I was enough.
Mhm.
And now I'm putting the time to really know my worth and to learn from those decisions, because I would rather not to repeat those for
Right.
any encounters I may have in the future.
How would you look with the lessons that you've learned? How would it look like to literally build trust in a new relationship that you will get into whenever? What I mean, what does that look like to you? And for our audience, I mean, this is gold right here. I mean, this is gems. I mean, what you're looking at is a perfect real life example that we can bring to you to show you exactly how to build trust in a relationship from the male's perspective. um and I think for our female listeners as well, it's something that you do want to hear so that you can better understand when you're getting into something new, because it's always scary, it's terrifying, you're anxious, you want things to work out well. But it again, it always starts with step one. It always starts with that foundation. It always starts with trust. So we'll see. I bring it back to you. How would you build trust in a new relationship with the lessons that you've learned thus far in life?
Thanks, Jay. Uh, Complete transparency.
Mm,
Um, Maintaining in my mind that I'm enough as I
mm,
am.
mm,
Uh, I'm a wonderful human being. I'm a great guy.
mm,
I'm one hell of a catch,
mm,
and understanding my worth,
mm,
and not standing in my own way.
mm,
And if I can do those things, uh, it will allow me to retain what initially brought us to this dance.
mm,
What brought you and your attraction to me, and what brought my attraction to you.
mm,
Because another thing that I've begun to understand is it's not only just the physical attraction that you're going to naturally have to someone. It's not even just the chemistry of what you have with someone, but it's
mm,
compatibility.
mm,
So I am understanding to factor those things in, because the uniqueness of someone else is going to draw me to them because you're not me. And the moment that I decide to be to take in you, to become a replica of what I think you want,
right.
I'm not being me,
Mm,
and I'm not a mind reader, right? So
mm,
I shouldn't try to do that.
mm,
And that has been flaws
mm,
for me
okay.
in my experiences.
Mm,
Um, and those are things that I know that I must keep in mind.
mm,
Uh, of course, let nature take its course and just flow with it, but don't think too far ahead. And hey, if I have someone in this lifetime that I encounter again where I really am feeling them, and I don't want to lose sight of those things,
mm,
because that's what got us there. And if I decide to really embrace it from that perspective, choose that person every day,
mm,
it gives them the reassurance, gives us the reassurance that we need. Because at the end of the day, we both have to believe that we are worth it.
mm,
And for me, I think that's where it starts. Because frankly speaking, in that part of my life, I don't want to go through that again. I
right.
don't want to assume or regret because I couldn't do what needed to be done in the moment because I was in my own way. And yeah, I think those are some of the steps that I would take to focus on compatibility again,
Mm,
to just make sure that with whom I'm decided to invest into, there is potential longevity there,
mm,
right? Not just what the chemistry of what we are and what we have now, right? Because
right.
when you get past all of that, and that's what happens from experience,
Mm,
when you get past the looks, right? You get past the infatuations of this person, you get past the lusting stage,
yeah.
because that happens, and you get into the knee deep part of it where you've been around this person a while, they
See him every
become
day, right?
familiar, right?
Morning, every evening, every
Yes,
waking minute of the lot of your life,
yeah.
especially last year, like in
Mm.
2020, we not we because I my fiance is of course not here, but when when we when we got into this COVID lockdown, we were forced to be with someone every single waking minute of the day, when in our American society we work, gosh, 8, 10 hours, sometimes longer a day.
Yeah.
Come home, you know what I'm saying, in your case, you get the children prepared for bed, you talking to them as well, and there's hardly any time between you and your spouse for any sort of real in-depth communication. So when that all changes and you're home every single day, it's like, oh boy, what's going on? How come I don't feel like I'm there anymore? Or, oh, I need to get out, or, oh, I need to work on myself, or, there's just, it seems like it's this real mass panic that happened when people were forced to deal with maybe their own insecurities that they didn't notice, because they were so used to going somewhere for 8 to 10 hours every single weekday, and now they're spending that time at home, not able to go anywhere with their spouse, with their kids, and some people just couldn't they couldn't deal with that in such a really instant period. And it's been tough for quite a bit of people. But I think, going back to what you stated about complete transparency, I find myself in a relationship that I'm in now. That is probably the number one thing that is helping us, because there's no room for ambiguity. There's no room for maybe she means this or maybe he means that when he says this. It's literally what's coming out of my mouth towards my fiance, or what she's saying to me, is exactly what it is. There's no middle ground. We've had so many conversations where, it's gotten heated. Of course, we all have arguments. That's what happens in relationships. But what came from that, was an ability to learn more about my spouse, or learn more about my fiance, and it's been amazing. Honestly, it's been incredible to have that sort of conversation, that sort of understanding, that type of communication, where I can literally, and I could sit down, I could sit right in front of her and say, hey, we really, what happened last night, or what happened tonight, and it's just so, hey there.
There's a special guest.
I know we have a special guest. How you doing?
Say hello. Say hi.
Good to see you. Hey, the world's gonna see this.
Yes, they will.
Get to see how beautiful you are. How you doing? You good?
You doing all right? Yeah.
Good, good. So
All
wonderful
right,
to
love.
see
Let me get back to it, Mama. Okay. See you soon. Bye.
you. Bye. It's all worth it, huh?
Yes, and yes, that's that part right there.
Oh man.
Absolutely, it's all worth it.
Yes, it's all worth it. But yeah, in terms of our relationship, it really worked out for the best for us, and it's helping us to grow. It's helping us to understand each other more and understand ourselves more. We determine within ourselves what really, I don't want to say puts us over the edge, but what really gets to us in a way that we don't want to put each other there ever. We always want to make each other smile. We want to be there for each other, comfort each other, love each other, respect each other, honor each other. Um, and I think the challenge in general for a lot of relationships is that, sometimes it's kind of difficult to sustain. As you mentioned earlier, what's going to happen when that infatuation stage leaves, that lust stage goes. You're faced with each other every day. You start growing older. You start getting fat in all these other areas, or
Hey, in the distance
whatever have
too
you.
for those
Yeah,
long
yeah.
distance relationships. That too,
Oh
man. Like
yeah,
that's just. I think that's even more critical. To
yeah.
you know.
And yeah, I mean, hey, I'm 5 years in it, going to be six, pretty soon, up in April, and it is extremely challenging. And I know in our society now, more and more people are starting to lean to, even if it isn't long distance per se, more digital, base relationships, at least initially, and then they start to get to know each other more and start being in each other's company more, and go from there. But being almost 6 years in a long distance relationship, we're now getting close to marriage. It has been tough. It has been challenging. The one thing, of course, is to try to understand how to get to know each other while not being near each other a ton. It's that part I want to say is where trust comes in. I mean, all the way in. Like all everything that we're basing in our relationship right now is trust. We're trusting each other that these past 5.5, 6 years have been exactly what we believe it's going to be when we're together. Of course, there's going to be a difference, right? We're in the same location for, more than just a couple months at a time. We're with each other for a lifetime. So there are going to be things that are different. But it's about managing expectations. It's about building that foundation now, so that when she gets here, we can fit in automatically, right? Of course, like I said, there are going to be adjustments. There are going to be conversations that are going to be very difficult. There are going to be times that are difficult. But when you take a risk like this in any sort of relationship, getting it started in the first place is somewhat of a risk. You're entrusting in yourself. You trust your decisions that you've made to bring you this far. You trust in the other person that you're developing this partnership with, that they have your best interests in mind at all times. And all you can do is build with that. All you can do is continue to learn each other, continue to be transparent, completely transparent, and continue to grow. Once you both have somewhere that you're going together, it becomes easier, because that is now the mission. The white picket fence, the beautiful home, whatever it might be to you, that is then your mission. But I don't want you to think that a mission is accomplished once you get those things. You continue to grow. You continue to blossom within each other. You continue to get to know each other more. If you have children, you continue to parent them. If you don't, you continue to grow with each other. You continue to grow in your community. It is a partnership, and if it's a long-term one, which I hope for everyone out there, the relationship you're in now, or the one that you're going to find, is a long-term one, and that it is beneficial for both of you. That right there is probably the most important advice that we can give.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think it's only right, Jay, like that, we love for everyone else that's listening in on this, and I'm sure everyone that's watching this right now can relate in some fashion. Please share with us a time, for you, where you know you lost trust in someone, or you've broken trust with someone, and if so, in either instances, were you able to repair that? Were you able to recover that? Was it something that was mendable?
Mhm.
Was it that is something I'd really love to know for those out there who has been along for this entire episode, and just kind of put it out there. Drop it in the bottom. Let us know. Share your stories with us. We're all here to grow and learn with each other.
Yep,
As you can see, Will C was willing and vulnerable to put himself out there.
absolutely.
Um, because this is what this is about. It's about growth, and I'm more than open to see and hear others' stories as well, so it can help that process. As you can see, we're both on different ends of the spectrum.
Yep,
Jay here, he's on his way to that realm of marriage and sacredity and unity.
yep.
In my instance, I've had that life, and I don't have that life now. So I'm in a part of where I'm on a new venture and trying to understand what that looks like once you've rehabilitated yourself to be
Mhm,
ready for that. So
mhm.
it's two total different you know lives and stories as it relates to relationships and trust.
Absolutely.
And we're looking to see more out there. Share this. This is a
Yep.
time to heal. This is a time to grow.
Mhm.
Grow with us. Let me grow with you. If you have any pointers, anything you have to say, reference to my story or Jay's story, please drop it in
Drop
there.
it in, man.
There's
Look,
no
our
judgment zone
DMs,
here.
our DMs are wide open. Our
Yes.
comments are open. We love community. We love putting this together. We love putting Achromous together. We love putting these podcast episodes together, so you can get a chance to hear different stories, honest stories from different perspectives. That's the one thing about both of us. We're not going to BS you at all. And any of
Absolutely.
these things that we put up here, and any of the topics that we have, we're gonna bring it to you straight. Even if it means that each one of us has to look within ourselves and see, okay, I could have done better here by doing XYZ. It's important to be able to have that perspective in relationships and in life in general. So please, as my brother Will C said, Drop us something in our DMs. Follow us at Achromous the Movement. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. And we are on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, there is absolutely no excuse to not reach us out, man.
Absolutely.
Hit us up.
Absolutely.
We're here
Hey,
for y'all. It's a
yep.
beautiful Sunday. The week is gonna be beautiful. I know everything is gonna be glorious for you guys. And it's been quite the year so far, and we're only in February. So
Wait, 2 months in?
yeah, that's it. That's it, man. It's been rough. It's been rough. But hey, stick with us. We promise we're gonna stick with y'all.
Absolutely.
Want y'all to keep being transparent with us. Be transparent in your relationships. Continue to understand how to build trust. And if you are on that other side of the spectrum where you lost trust for someone and you just couldn't get it back with that someone, as my brother Will C said, it is important to rehab before you go into something else. Rehab,
Absolutely.
repair, and prepare yourself before you jump into anything else. Be whole.
Absolutely.
Be
Be
whole.
whole.
Absolutely.
That's well said. Be whole.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yep.
So, with that said, we'll wrap that up, and I guess we'll go ahead and should we give them a little insight on what we're looking to get into next week? Like,
Yeah, man.
yeah,
Gosh, it's honestly, as I said, the year has been tough. It's been crazy. And a lot of us are dealing with some of the insecurities that we're dealing with. Maybe some of us might be too shy to put a little DM in our box or write a little comment in our post. Some of us
yeah,
we may not have been able to get to where we were, especially in 2020 when quite frankly, a lot of us who were working from home had the opportunity to, I mean, gosh, if you wanted to do a side hustle, you could have started one. If you wanted
yes,
to, what I'm saying, do something on the side, pay off some of your loans, pay off some of your debt. You know what I'm saying? Get a part-time
get it.
job,
Yes, thanks for clearing that up.
exercise.
Good.
Part-time job,
Part
y'all.
time job, folks.
Part-time job.
Regulated.
Part-time job. but no, I mean, we all had opportunities to do something. This is one opportunity that we took advantage of is creating this podcast. We've already had the page. We've already been out here doing this, but I think in order for us to communicate better, we had to come out of our comfort zone. At least for
Yeah.
me, right? I mean, this mic, you see this here. If for all those who are looking and not listening, I mean, this I had to buy this. Shout out to Lead on Faith for putting up this light for me.
Yeah. Shout
All of
out.
this is really coming out of my comfort zone. This is stepping out of where I am. I'm not necessarily an introvert, but I like my peace, man. I like to be by myself. I like to make the posts that we make and all that stuff. But it's sometimes what gets in our way is the fear of failing. And
Yeah.
I think that fear could be crippling because for whatever reason, initially we think that we are going to achieve perfection on the first try. That never happens. If you go back to one of the first podcasts that we had, we talked about how tough exercising was initially, especially when it came to running. My man Wilson did 500 feet. He almost died. I couldn't
Yep.
even go that far. My knees were about to collapse within myself. And all that stuff was bad for us. But you never give up, right? You're not afraid to do it again. You're not afraid to push the envelope. You're not afraid to get uncomfortable. You're not afraid to have your heart beating out your chest, but your brain is telling you to keep running. You keep running. You're supposed to finish this, finish it. And then you go back and you continue to do it again and you continue to build yourself up and you get stronger. Imagine if we stopped initially. You went that 500 feet. I went out my door and I stopped. Imagine if that was the last time we ever decided to do anything fitness related. Where would we be? All because we thought we were going to fail. All because we
Yeah.
thought we were just going to pass out on the ground or we weren't going to be able to get to where we are now. So, again, next Sunday, we really want to tackle this whole fear of failing business. And
Yes.
again, anyone who's listening, you've already succeeded. You've already succeeded. You
Absolutely.
have you have data, you have Wi-Fi, You have somehow you're able to pay the phone bill or pay the electricity bill to be able to hear us. You have a
Legally.
roof over your head. You have all these things to be grateful for, and yet you're talking about the fear of failing. Do you know that at some point in your life you had none of those? At some point, you ain't have Wi-Fi, you ain't have data, you ain't have a cell phone, you ain't have a laptop, you ain't have a job, you ain't have money, you didn't have any of those things. You had to step out on your own, out of your own comfort zone to get those things. So keep that in mind when you think that you can't do anything because you are afraid to fail.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, dealing with the fear of failure. It's a real it's a real testament because you it's something that you deal with at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Uh and really, in my opinion, it's a reflection of yourself. It's a reflection of what you perceive to be your best self and not reaching it.
Yep.
So it's something to really to think about, as we're gonna dig into that next week,
Mm-hmm.
really touch base into that. But I challenge you as we draw near towards that episode that we'll be getting to. Think about it. Just some thoughts into like certain fears you have,
Mm-hmm.
which may be preventing you from being your best self or realizing your worth as you are now.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciating your wins, the success that you have, and just getting out of the bed in the morning.
Yeah.
The basics.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the basics,
Yep.
and just think about that as we get to that, so that when we be ready to have that content and we're going to discuss that, you'll be ready to drop that into the comments because that's what we're going to want to see. This is
Yep.
what we want to understand and know,
That's what
so
we
we
want
can
to
all grow
hear.
together.
Yep, absolutely. That's
Yep.
what we want to hear. That's what we want to understand. And again, man, follow us at the Achromous. Or sorry, I keep doing this. I do this every time. Every time. Oh my god, I'm so glad we don't have sponsors yet, because this would have been bad. But at Achromous the Movement, ladies and gentlemen, at
Yeah,
Achromous the
promise the
Movement
movement.
on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. It's easy. It's easy. Those three. Let me tell you, there's no other business out there named Achromous. It's so easy to find us.
Absolutely.
We're the only ones.
We're the only ones.
We own
So
that name. That's our
yep,
name. That's our mark. You type that in, you'll find us.
you
That's
found
what's
us.
beautiful about
That's
it.
bottom
You
line.
found us.
Just put it
You're
in there, and it's us.
here. Stay with us. All right. Stay with us longer.
Ooh,
So for this out to hey, again, happy Sunday to y'all. You made it again. You'll make it next weekend to hear some beautiful comments. My goodness, I'm getting tired, as you can see. There's some beautiful content on dealing with the fear of failing. So
yes.
until next Sunday, I am J.H. Gibbons.
Now we'll see, and we out.
Peace.
Peace.